Hidden truths of the Bible. Did the Catholic Church distort history? For centuries, the Bible has stood as one of the most powerful and influential books in human history. Its teachings have shaped the moral, spiritual, and even political landscapes of nations. However, what if some of the stories we've accepted as truth were not the whole picture? What if the very foundation of Christian faith, as we know it, was selectively edited to serve specific agendas? This is a question that arises when we explore an intriguing discovery made in the year 2000. Ancient manuscripts that could reveal a hidden gospel and expose secrets the Catholic Church has kept for centuries. Imagine for a moment that history, as it was written, might not be the complete or unaltered truth. What if powerful institutions, like the Catholic Church, had reasons to manipulate certain events, suppress others, and create a narrative that would support their authority? It's a tantalizing thought, and one that gained serious traction after an accidental discovery in the year 2000 in Nicosia, Cyprus. During a police raid on a residence rented by smugglers, authorities stumbled upon something extraordinary: ancient black manuscripts that would later be identified as religious texts. Initially, these manuscripts were not given much importance, as the officers didn't even recognize the language they were written in. However, what started as a routine raid turned into a revelation of potentially massive historical and religious significance. What they found were the so-called Gospels of Barnabas. The Gospel of Barnabas, a controversial text. After years in custody and finally being handed over to the Museum of Ethnography in Ankara, Turkey, researchers were allowed to study these ancient texts. Their findings: a gospel that challenges everything we know about the traditional narrative of Christianity. The Gospel of Barnabas, purportedly written by one of Jesus' apostles, dates back to the 5th or 6th century AD, and its contents are nothing short of shocking. Barnabas claims that Jesus was not the divine Son of God, but rather a prophet, an enlightened man who foresaw the arrival of a true Messiah, one who would come 500 years after his time. To those familiar with Islamic tradition, this sounds eerily familiar, as Muhammad was born around 570 AD, approximately 500 years after Jesus' death. Could this be a prophetic reference to the birth of Islam? But it doesn't stop there. According to Barnabas, Jesus was never crucified. The Last Supper was not the moment of betrayal that we've been taught. Instead, Barnabas writes that Jesus knew Judas would betray him and that, in a miraculous twist, angels rescued Jesus before the Roman soldiers could capture him. God, according to Barnabas, altered Judas' appearance to resemble Jesus, and it was Judas, disguised, who was crucified in Jesus' place. The implications of such a revelation. Imagine the magnitude of this claim. The crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus are the cornerstones of Christian faith. If Barnabas' account were true, it would mean that the fundamental event on which Christianity is built, Jesus dying for humanity's sins, did not happen as we've been taught. Instead, the cross, a symbol of Christ's sacrifice, would actually mark Judas' death. This shakes the very foundation of what Christians believe, and it poses a critical question. Why has this story been hidden? This leads us to one of the most controversial questions in Christian history. Did the Catholic Church suppress alternative narratives in order to solidify its power and control? Throughout the centuries, the Church has positioned itself as the ultimate authority on spiritual matters. To maintain that authority, it had to ensure that its version of events remained unchallenged. The Gospel of Barnabas, if made public, could have caused a massive shift in public perception and could have weakened the Church's influence. The Bible, what else was left out? While Barnabas' Gospel may be one of the more sensational discoveries, it's not the only example of a narrative that was kept out of the official Bible. The Bible we know today has gone through numerous revisions. In fact, one of the most significant moments of biblical editing occurred in 1684, when the Vatican removed 14 books from the original 80 that had been considered part of the Bible for centuries. These books, known as the Apocrypha, contained stories and teachings that didn't align with the Church's evolving doctrine. So why did these books disappear? What were they hiding? This isn't just an isolated case. The Bible has been subject to edits and revisions throughout history, particularly during the Middle Ages. As the church's power grew, so did its need to control what people believed. A single, unified narrative was essential for maintaining both spiritual and political power. Any conflicting texts, like the Gospel of Barnabas, were labeled heretical and buried, sometimes literally, deep within the archives of the Vatican. The Gospel of Thomas, another hidden gospel. In 1945, another set of manuscripts was discovered near Nag Hammadi, Egypt. Among them was the Gospel of Thomas, an apocryphal text that presents yet another alternative view of Jesus' life and teachings. What makes Thomas's Gospel so controversial is not just its exclusion from the Bible, but the radical ideas it contains. The Gospel of Thomas portrays Jesus not only as a divine figure, but also as someone who made controversial and often cryptic statements about salvation. One of the most shocking claims found in Thomas's Gospel involves women. In one passage, Jesus supposedly tells his disciples that in order for women to enter the kingdom of heaven, they must first become men. This statement, along with others in Thomas's Gospel, directly contradicts the more inclusive message of salvation found in the canonical Gospels. Is it any wonder that such texts were suppressed? Furthermore, the Gospel of Thomas portrays Jesus as declaring that "He who drinks from my mouth will become like me," suggesting a more mystical or esoteric understanding of Christ's teachings. This Gospel even includes teachings that seem to reflect Gnostic beliefs, which the early Church sought to eliminate. What else is the Vatican hiding? The Vatican has long been suspected of hiding documents and knowledge that could radically alter our understanding of history, theology, and spirituality. The Vatican's secret archives are rumored to contain thousands of documents that have never been made public. What secrets lie within those walls? How many other Gospels, manuscripts, and stories have been locked away, preventing the world from knowing the full truth? It's easy to see why the Catholic Church would have a vested interest in keeping these texts hidden. If people began questioning the divinity of Christ or the legitimacy of the crucifixion, it would challenge the very authority of the Church itself. For centuries, the Church has wielded immense power over both spiritual and political matters. Allowing these alternative narratives to circulate could have threatened that power. A new perspective on faith. But what should we make of all this? Does learning about these alternative Gospels mean we should abandon our faith? Not necessarily. In fact, it could be quite the opposite. By exploring these hidden texts, we gain a fuller understanding of the complexity and richness of early Christian history. Instead of threatening faith, these discoveries can deepen it, prompting us to ask questions, seek knowledge, and connect more profoundly with our spiritual beliefs. The truth is, the world is full of mysteries, and history is rarely as straightforward as we'd like to believe. By questioning what we've been told, we open the door to new possibilities and a deeper understanding of the divine. Join the journey. Subscribe now. If this journey into the hidden truths of the Bible has sparked your curiosity, there's so much more to discover. From apocryphal texts to ancient manuscripts, the history of Christianity is filled with stories that challenge the status quo. Don't miss out on the next chapter of this incredible exploration. Subscribe to the Biblical Tales and Prayers channel now and join us as we uncover the mysteries of faith, history, and spirituality. The story of the Bible is far from over. There are still so many secrets waiting to be revealed. Subscribe today and be part of the journey to uncover the truths that have been hidden for centuries.